final weak point in the squat may be at the very top. I do have to say it's extremely rare, and if you think you're missing at the top, I encourage you to investigate and think deeply if you're really missing at the top. Generally, missing at the top is unique because you're at such an advantage in your leverages at the top that it shouldn't be a muscle reason or a strength reason why you're missing it. Generally, it could be more of a muscle firing, injury, or improper sort of balance issue on why you can't finish, say, the top third of the lift. So what this might look like is that you are unable to pull your hips through and stand erect at the top. If this is an issue for you, the main technical cue would be to make sure you're using your hips and your glutes to fire and finish through, and not trying to use your low back to finish the lift and stand erect. You want to make sure you are trying to use your glutes and your hips to bring themselves through and stand up, not trying to leverage and use your low back to stand. If you still think this is you and you truly missed lifts at the top third of the lift, even because of strength possibly, one of the best movements you could do is a very high pin squat. So it might be the top half of range of motion. It could be 6 to 8 inches above parallel, but you set up in a power rack. You set the safety pins where the bar will rest on them at a height when your body is, say, halfway down in your squat, either at your sticking point or just below. So if you're truly missing at the top, this may be a very high pin squat. You'll go down, set the bar onto the pins, give it a very slight deload, and then come back up. Another good movement would be a pause halfway up squat. So you would descend normally, come halfway up, and pause there. This might address some of the firing issues or balance issues if you can't finish a squat from there up. Because if you pause halfway up, which should probably be a little below your sticking point or at your sticking point, pausing there is going to force you and force your body to be smart and instinctual to find the strongest position to maintain that pause, because it's going to be difficult. So the proper position and muscles to find that pause, strengthen it, and then finish the lift. If you're still missing halfway up, another good assistance would be box squats. You can even use a higher box. The key on the box squats, if you're doing this for missing at the top, you want to make sure when you're sitting on that box, your shins are staying vertical and that you're not squatting straight down onto the box. You're sitting back onto it, and to come off the box, that you're using your hamstrings and glutes to fire off. Not tipping forward or leaning forward to use momentum to come off the box, but actually using your hips and hamstrings to pull yourself to drive off the box. And those muscles and that movement pattern may help you finish your squat at the top. Accommodating resistance squat with very heavy bands could probably be the best movement you could do if you're still truly missing lifts at the top. Those heavy bands will overload the top third depending on how you set it up. They will strongly overload the top of that squat much more than you would ever see in a normal squat without accommodating resistance. So if, say, you're using 500 bar weight normally to do a squat, now you could set up heavy bands where the bar weight may only be 250 pounds to 300 pounds, but at the top it's over 600 pounds. So what that's doing is strengthening your weakest range of motion using overload and accommodating resistance to strengthen your weak point so you can go back to free weight, and now that top half of your range of motion is much stronger. If you're looking at the muscles why you may not be finishing at the top, the glutes would probably be the number one driver, but not a deep glute position where you are in deep hip flexion, but actually shallow hip flexion and just having trouble firing those glutes to finish pulling the hips through. So glutes, hamstrings, and possibly hips would be the muscles to target to strengthen if you're missing a squat at the top of the lift.